not explored, or the area was inspected carelessly. The black entity was approaching her. It seemed like it was about to attack. What should she do? Unconsciously, her thoughts turned to Kylo for help, and the girl closed her eyes. Meow was heard nearby, and a fluffy black cat bent into Agnes's arms. Judging by how calmly she sits in her arms, she is used to people. Probably the owner was not able to pick her up during the evacuation. The cat was seriously injured, and the princess, like a magician, used her power to heal her. The treatment was quick and painless, and soon it was all over. The grateful creature, feeling that it was no longer in pain, purred gratefully. Agnes said that she was just bored and invited the cat to make the rounds with her. And then she will find her owner, but she didn't have time to finish because she felt some kind of darkness behind her. The girl did not dare turn around, afraid to see what was standing there. But behind her, a demon with red eyes was slowly approaching her. This is not a cat at all. Agnes met the gaze of this creature, which was a black wolf demon. And he is a real demon. Will she really die again? And even such an insignificant death. But she doesn't want it that way, and this time she will do something to avoid it. The demon rushed at her, but did not achieve his goal, because a knight's sword blocked his path. Black Knight Commander Kylo Grey stood right in front of Agnes, protecting her from the demon. The knight's sword cut the demon in half, and drops of blood fell on the surprised girl's cheek. "Are you safe?" Kylo asked the shocked girl, who did not let go of the cat. Agnes was silent, unable to say anything, and just looked at the man with wide eyes. Kylo saved her, the girl slowly realized, while the man made excuses for not deliberately putting her in danger, and there was an error in the report. At that moment, Agnes's horse ran away, frightened, regardless of its owner. Kylo handed her his handkerchief and offered to wipe the blood from her face. Realizing that it was Kylo who was offering her the handkerchief, Agnes instantly snatched it from her hands, and she pressed the unexpected gift to her chest, which greatly surprised the commander. Kylo thought she was so scared she'd gone crazy and asked if she was hurt. The princess remembered that she was supposed to act normal, and sheepishly replied that she was a little hurt. Apparently, these Black Knight scoundrels were unable to carry out a normal round. Kylo found out too late, so he had to hurry, and he's glad she's okay. But Agnes was very grateful to fate. She finally had a chance to go on a date, and suggested that they could continue making the rounds together. But her speech was interrupted by an extraneous sound, and she was surprised to hear the sound of hooves. And indeed, a rider on a horse was approaching them, whom they had never expected to see here. "Raymond Spencer," Kylo stated in surprise, and the princess could not resist a surprised cry. "Raymond Spencer, commander of the Order of the White Knights? What is he doing here?" A dead demon on the ground in a pool of blood. Traces of blood on the face of Princess Agnes. Raymond's keen eye instantly picked up these details and formed his own opinion about what happened here. "You're in trouble again, Kylo Grey," the man said. Kylo didn't even know what to say, but his look was eloquent. Agnes was surprised by Raymond's reaction, but even more surprised when he addressed her. "Wipe off the blood first, princess," said Raymond, handing her his handkerchief. Without thinking, the girl took it in her hands and wiped her bloody face. Kylo watched in amazement at how purposefully Agnes used the handkerchief for its intended purpose, and remembered that she had not used his handkerchief. She considered his handkerchief dirty and did not want to take it. This was the conclusion made by Kylo Grey. Spencer said that he had called a carriage and invited the princess to go with him. It looks like she was very angry, Kylo thought, looking at the girl's changed face. She thinks that because of him, she missed the opportunity to be alone with Raymond. And most likely, she will want to blame him for everything. "Kylo Grey, I will cover up this situation, but this should not happen again." Spencer said all this, crossing his arms over his chest. "The Imperial family is not a battlefield. He cannot get what he wants through self-will. Whoever asked him to cover up the situation, he's already acting like her husband." Kylo grinned harshly. "It's worth listening, because this is advice from the hero of the Empire himself," he answered Raymond sarcastically. "But isn't he too arrogant to say this so categorically?" It was Kylo who was entrusted by His Majesty to command Princess Agnes, so why is Raymond following her around? Maybe he signed up to be a nanny, to which the White Knight told him to watch his words. But Kylo continued to say that Spencer constantly rejects the princess's advances, and in fact keeps her on the hook. Raymond did not answer, only his look showed that these words hurt him. He didn't seem to consider himself obligated to answer anything, and simply went about his business. "Dirty bastard," thought Kylo, not even looking after the departing commander of the White Knights. He pretends to be a noble knight, but it is clear that he plans to subjugate the princess's heart and become the Emperor's son-in-law. And he treats Kylo like trash, blinded by power, and he himself is absolutely the same. Someday he will show everyone his Raymond Spencer's dirty intentions. Agnes Saint looked at White Knight Commander Raymond Spencer with a puzzled expression. What did he forget here? She had a chance to have a fantastic date with Kylo, and why are they traveling in the same carriage? If you think about it this way, this is the first time the girl has met Raymond Spencer since her rebirth. Well, to be honest, he is handsome, but not her type. First of all, his chest is too narrow. He comes across as a nobleman who grew up too ideal, and she likes wilder and rougher ones with a wide chest, such as Kylo Grey. Raymond is so perfect that he lacks humanity, is also not interested in Agnes, and is not at all nice. Another thing is Kylo. He is cute and cannot exist without Agnes. He will die at the end of the first part. But she is forced to pretend that she loves Raymond, so it's time to use all her acting skills. So in her softest intonation, she asked why he came here. As everyone knows, Raymond Spencer is the most desired jewel for Agnes Saint, and no one will believe it if she gives up her feelings in an instant. Raymond wondered how to answer her question, because if he told the truth, he would not be able to get rid of the obsessive girl. Therefore, he replied that he had arrived to ask the princess to refrain from actions that members of the imperial family should not commit. Now he decided to be strict, so he asked the princess to stop showing her attention to him and be an example of a standard princess. But the man was very surprised when the girl repeated that he asked her to stop bothering him and start acting calm. With an innocent look, Agnes replied that all this time she had unwittingly annoyed him, and now she understood it. She will no longer stand in his way. This is how a tired girl becomes whose heart is broken. Raymond could not take his eyes off the girl in surprise, and she decided to pretend that she had stopped being a fan of him, because he broke her heart. Agnes calmly concluded that he shouldn't come over from now on. But in her heart, she was annoyed that her date with Kylo had been ruined. "I think it's time for me to go." Agnes was the first to leave the carriage when they arrived at their destination. Looking after the retreating girl, the commander was surprised that she agreed without even thinking, or that she was so upset. In any case, it doesn't matter. The main thing is that the princess will no longer bother him. For the first time in a long time, he feels relieved. "We're going to the Crown Prince's palace," he ordered the coachman, and the carriage set off. Crown Prince Damien Saint wearily repeated that he had heard that something had happened. Raymond reported that, apparently, Kylo Grey wants to take revenge on the princess, which is not surprising because all this time, Agnes was extremely contemptuous of people of lower status. But since nothing terrible happened, then everything is fine. But the prince was interested in the fact that the princess promised not to pester Raymond anymore. The knight confirmed this, but noticed that the intonation was not particularly sincere, but the princess was inclined to talk all sorts of nonsense, because of which one day she might become a big obstacle for His Highness the Crown Prince. And he's right. Agnes is a time bomb. It's unknown when and where she'll explode. She's not one of those opponents that requires a lot of effort to eliminate. She's just a nuisance. Agnes is an arrogant and luxurious obstacle, and Damien hoped that she would marry sooner. But the proud people of the Empire would not be happy if a member of the imperial family married a foreigner, so he searched within the Empire for the best man who could match Agnes. This man is his most trusted servant and close friend, and he believed that there was no better option than Raymond Spencer. However, the nobles also do not treat the princess very well. "We can't allow something to stain the honor of the imperial family," Raymond said while Damien was deep in thought. He is the one his younger sister, the Princess of the Empire, is in love with. But isn't he speaking too rudely about her in his presence? The prince became irritated. No. Even he himself sometimes laments about Agnes's tricks, but he is her older brother, and a stranger is a completely different matter. Increasingly irritated, Prince Damien repeated that Agnes had promised not to bother him anymore, so he did not need to deliberately criticize her in his presence. Raymond understood everything, and on this note, their conversation came to an end. However, the incidents associated with Raymond Spencer did not end there, and at the same time in the palace. Chloe and Emma, Princess Agnes's maids, were horrified by the sight of their mistress. The girl really looked unwell. Her hair was tangled from falling, her clothes were dirty, there were traces of blood everywhere. The girls were worried that she had met a monster during the mission and was injured. Agnes's maids are known for being the fastest to spread gossip, and she came up with a brilliant idea. "A terrible thing almost happened to me. Thanks to Sir Grey, I stayed alive," the girl said quietly, and was glad at the reaction of the maids, because by using them, she could improve Kylo's reputation. If they spread the word that Kylo Grey saved her life, he would be considered a hero. But all her thoughts crumbled to dust when the girls asked if it was Sir Grey's mistake that she was in danger, because if he had done his job properly, nothing would have happened. Weren't several people from the Black Knight's Order arrested because of this mistake? Moreover, when one of the maids passed in front of the Order building, she ran into Kylo Grey. Not only did he not say hello, but he even looked at her angrily. Such a person cannot be trusted. Agnes shed a tear because Kylo's reputation was as damaged as hers, and a long-term plan was needed to improve his image. I think I was wrong about Sir Grey, contrary to expectations. He is committed to his beliefs, and he really saved me, the princess said as convincingly as possible. And when the girls noticed that she had returned with Sir Spencer, Agnes thought that her plan could still be realized. "Please don't talk about Sir Spencer in front of me," the princess said, which horrified the maids. And naturally, the girls immediately wanted to know all the details and began bombarding the mistress with questions. Putting on a sad look, Agnes replied that she would not tell all the details, but she too could be hurt. "I'm tired," the princess exhaled. She decided that it was time to play the role of a kind of girl with a broken heart. And after finishing the conversation, she added that she needed to rest. She was covered in blood and didn't feel well. The maids hurried to leave the room, wishing the princess a good rest and not to worry about anything. "Come on, my dear birds, fly and spread rumors. Everything is going according to plan." However, the reality was a little different from Agnes's expectations, and the maids were at a loss as to what had happened. The princess, who always talked about Sir Spencer, does not want to do this anymore. Has something serious happened? But as we know, the princess is kind to her people. The maids also had a hard time because of her temper, but the benefits of working in the palace are enormous. In particular, the things that the princess gave to Sir Spencer are simply too numerous to count. So what did Sir Spencer do? Couldn't he resist and began to abuse? Until now, Sir Spencer had rejected the princess many times, but she had never been depressed to this extent. If the princess was so hurt, then something more than just refusal had definitely happened. The princess buried her feelings after being hurt by Raymond Spencer, was what Agnes was hoping for, but it was slightly distorted by the two gossips. "It's amazing how such a decent person could do this. I didn't even think that Sir Spencer was capable of saying such a thing." The society ladies discussed new rumors. "He said, rather than marry you, I would rather take as my wife the dandruff that has fallen on the ground. He is said to have declared that a sewer was more suitable for a princess than a palace." Suddenly, Raymond Spencer became the one who drove a big nail into the princess's heart with unspeakable brutality. And this rumor reached the ears of an unexpected person, the most important defender of Princess Agnes Saint, her father. "This damned member of the Spencer family injured my daughter." The emperor was furious, and while the butler asked His Highness to calm down, since the source of the rumors was unreliable, the emperor was literally shaking with anger. But His Majesty did not listen to the servant and thought only that the Spencer family was full of such impudent fathers and sons. The Duke Spencer family is one of the 4 ducal families of the empire. It is so prestigious and wealthy that no one is able to do anything to it. However, the emperor has long harbored hatred for this Duke Spencer, because this man was the first love of the empress, Mother Agnes. Moreover, he appeared at the wedding and called to stop it. Fortunately, the empress has already rejected her feelings for him, but the emperor still cannot calm down. Prince Damien, without his father's knowledge, became friends with the younger Spencer. He confused even Agnes. For his sweet daughter to become the bride of this bastard? The man does not even want to imagine this. This will never happen. Even if the sky splits, even if he dies. "This vile, wicked man," the emperor raged, until the butler, trying to calm His Majesty, said that this could be a good sign. Hearing this, the emperor was very surprised. He did not understand how this could be a good sign. And then the servant explained that based on the words of the maids, the princess was heartbroken and even ordered him not to say his name anymore. This means that the princess no longer has the same feelings for Sir Spencer. So, in the social circle, there is no one to whom this news about the princess's broken heart has not reached. Even those knights who don't go out into the world know about this. The news has spread everywhere. Kylo Grey was also surprised to learn that this scoundrel had insulted the princess. The commander of the Black Knights trained in martial arts daily as usual. After a long training, Kylo Grey was exhausted, but this did not bother him much. His thoughts were occupied with other things. Sir Spencer was heard not far away, and turning around, Kylo saw the commander with the White Knights. He didn't like Raymond Spencer from the very beginning. He was too perfect. High status, education, knowledge, everything Kylo wanted but never had, he had from birth. Raymond at this time noticed Kylo Grey's gaze on him. Even in this situation, Raymond treated Kylo, who had nothing, who had to bend over backwards, as trash, blinded by power, as if someone who desperately made their way from the very bottom is not worthy of understanding. And this bastard now dared to insult the Princess of the Empire. How vile and despicable he is, Kylo thought, looking at his reflection in the evening window. The commander of the Order of White Knights, who undertakes to protect members of the imperial family, treats one of them not only as a tool, but also as a person beneath him. But why did the one who always pretended to be noble suddenly drop his mask? Was he really angry because something irreparable almost happened and took his anger out on the princess? Wait a minute. It turns out that the princess was crying because of him, and Kylo realized it. He thought that he would only be glad if this arrogant person cried, but knowing that his mistake is to blame for this, there is an unpleasant pressure in the man's chest. And I wouldn't want the Emperor to kick him out because of this. So he should make a formal apology. But there is a huge problem. He, Kylo Grey, does not know how to communicate with girls. His constant reaction when meeting girls is a stony face and a complete lack of decorum. In addition, he is usually covered in blood, which quite frightens the girls. He, a man of low status, except for those moments when he is wearing the uniform of the Order, will not be able to come to the princess of his own free will. Kylo was painfully thinking about what he should do in such a situation. What he should do. At this moment, the commander of the Black Knight's thoughts were interrupted by an extraneous sound. The door to the room slowly opened, surprising the man because he was not expecting anyone. But the man was even more surprised when he saw who exactly looked at him. It was Dame Agnes Saint herself, the one about whom all the commander's thoughts were. "Agnes, that is, your highness," Kylo said in surprise, thereby surprising the girl because he usually calls her Lady Saint. Was it because she put the cape on over the Black Knight's uniform that the maids made a big fuss about putting the cape on her because they were afraid that she would catch a cold? But while the princess was thinking, Kylo Grey apologized with all possible respect for the fact that, due to his carelessness, he had put her in danger. And he promised that this would never happen again in the future, which incredibly surprised the girl. She didn't come to listen to this, but since Kylo said it, she should play along with him. And she replied that if this happened again, he would be severely punished. In the girl's thoughts, it was something like life imprisonment in her arms. By the way, Agnes was interested in what happened to the area in which the crawl had not been completed. And when the commander replied that it was completed by the responsible Victor Craven, Agnes was incredibly happy and asked when the next task was. But her enthusiasm waned when the answer was that there would be no assignments for a while, so she needed to take part in training. By the way, they never had the opportunity to introduce her to other knights. In the novel, the members of the Order of the Black Knights are not described in detail. It is interesting what they are like. Bringing Agnes to the Black Knight's headquarters, Commander Grey introduced her as a new member of the Order. Now she will work with them as a Knight of the Black Order. After greeting, the princess said that they could address her as a knight while she was wearing her uniform. "Nice to meet you, I'm Victor Craven," the bold knight introduced himself, slightly waving his hand. "My name is Anna Monteros," the fragile girl knight timidly introduced herself. And these were all the Black Knights with whom Agnes was to meet while in the Order of the Black Knights. Confused, she asked if they really only had 2 people in the Order, and received the answer that of course not. One ransacked a bank during the war, another tried to take advantage of the opportunity and kill his enemy, the third wanted to create a magical instrument from the corpse of a demon, and so on. Most are now in prison. The rest are on missions and are present here in the amount of 2 people. There are 6 in total. "Well, organize your own training," Kylo said, and turned around, preparing to leave, which greatly surprised the girl. She thought that after her appearance in the Order, she would be with him every day, but nothing of what she planned came true. Someone barely touched Agnes, who was lost in thought, on the shoulder, like a cat with a soft paw. The girl turned around in surprise and saw that it was Anna Monteros. And in her hands was the same cat that she had saved in the area she was inspecting. Anna said something very quietly, so quietly that Agnes could not make out anything. And so, she asked a little louder what she was saying, which scared the girl so much that she hid behind the chair. People who become zombies due to monsters or demons have their bodies turn black and their eyes turn red. Because of this, people with black hair and red eyes were often targeted after demons appeared, which seems to be why she is so timid. But finally, Agnes realized that the cat named Coco was grateful for the rescue. And she replied that she was very glad that her colleague's pet was okay. The princess was glad that she was able to win Anna over, especially since she was so timid. Victor also noted that it was good that she found her, but Agnes felt some kind of discomfort. All this time, something was invisibly bothering her, something that was in the same room. There stood some kind of brutal weapon, very threatening-looking, against the wall. A huge sledgehammer and some kind of mixture of a pistol and a saw. Whose weapon is this? Easily lifting the sledgehammer with one hand, Victor indicated that it was his weapon. Impressed, Agnes asked to put the weapon aside for the duration of the conversation, and asked what kind of weapon was nearby. Anna immediately rushed to the second weapon and with a completely crazy look, invited the princess to take a look and show how it worked. But Agnes did not share her enthusiasm, immediately abandoning the demonstration. It has 5 blades superimposed on each other, and it also sprays the poison of monsters, so it can crush even a monster's bone in a second, Anna said with completely crazy eyes. Noticing that Anna suddenly began to speak very clearly, Agnes felt fear of the Black Knights for the first time, and asked how she too could obtain such weapons. Anna replied that the master at the Imperial Arms Factory could create it for the princess, offering to go there together. The source of the development of magical engineering in the Empire is the purple magic stone planted on the lands of the Empire. The first emperor combined his special magic with a mineral that everyone thought was an ordinary stone, and created a magic stone. And this stone, with the help of a ray of light awakened by the first emperor, sealed all the demons underground. Thousands of years passed, and as soon as demons began to reappear on the surface, the inhabitants of the empire began to create weapons from magical stones. They believe that one day a member of the imperial family will be born who can harness the power of the first emperor. The master of the armory, trembling with fear, asked why the princess had come. Noting that she had already seen such an attitude towards her before, Agnes replied that she wanted to ask him to make a weapon. The master replied that to create an effective weapon from a magic stone with a suitable wavelength, you need to select one of the stones and pick it up. Anna added that when she takes the desired stone, her palm will heat up. The girl thought with a grin that the method was like in a book about a boy wizard, but now it's better for her to remain silent and choose any suitable stone. Agnes touched many stones, but none of them were even a little warm. The master, like Anna, waited patiently behind the impatient princess. After some time, the master began to think, clearly thinking about something in his head. And he brought a small chest, inviting the princess to try this stone. A special magical stone used to create weapons for His Majesty's personal guard. But weapons created from a magic stone should not harm people, Agnes noted, unless they were appropriate for His Majesty's personal protection. This was the case before, but now they have begun to create combined weapons that can be used against monsters and people. But the girl was interested in the possibility that other countries would copy this technology. The master replied that this was absolutely impossible. If the weapon was disassembled, then due to the binding spell, it would be completely destroyed. At the same time, the man thought that Her Highness Princess Agnes was not what he imagined her to be. He thought that she was an infantile and cruel scoundrel. She seems to care deeply about the Empire, yet you can't really understand what exactly a person is like until you meet them in person. Agnes slowly extended her hand to the bright magic stone sparkling in the chest, but as soon as he touched the skin, she immediately withdrew her hand, and the master noticed that the correspondence in wavelength was very good. She should only feel the heat, but not get burned. Having carefully looked at her hand, the girl really did not find a trace of a burn, and the question in what form she wanted the weapon took her by surprise, and Princess Agnes Saint thought deeply about what kind of weapon would suit her. Since she is in a world that combines magic and steampunk, a staff and a gun would be a great option. And now, after a short time, she happily held her personal weapon in her hands, trying on it. The gun is in the shape of a staff. She was worried whether they would be able to accurately replicate her wishes, but it looks great, and is also lightweight, and when a new task comes up, she can easily complete it and show excellent results. In truth, all this time Kylo didn't even show his nose, let alone entrust her with a task. Anna and Victor were completely free, but Kylo was very busy with something. Anna, as well as Victor, would not be averse to testing her weapon right now and chopping the monsters to pieces, but their crazy look of anticipation forced Agnes to dismiss any options of involving them in the tasks. In any case, now there are no tasks, and people are avoiding her. She is free, but she is very bored. Having said goodbye to her colleagues, the princess headed to her chambers, but along the way something caught her attention. Out of habit, she walked through the part of the garden reserved exclusively for white knights and noticed 4 people there. She kept thinking about what she should do. And here it is. She is eavesdropping on their conversations, even if she is noticed. What will they do? She is a princess, after all. She saw many familiar faces: Sirius Melville, Diana Renox, Hugo Rodion, and another girl. It was Saint Liliana in the novella she fought with Hazel Devon for the place of the main character. Starting to eavesdrop, Agnes heard that they were discussing her appointment as a Black Knight. Liliana was indignant at how His Majesty could do this when the White Order and Sir Spencer were trying the hardest, but Hugo was worried that discussing the Emperor's decision was an insult to His Majesty. Agnes thought understandingly that Saint Liliana was a former commoner. It must be difficult for her to understand cultural behavior. And then they went on to discuss rumors that Sir Spencer had insulted the princess, and Agnes's ears perked up. But only Hugo answered Liliana, and the faces of Diana and Sirius expressed disapproval. Since such a topic is being discussed, Diana can be understood. But why Sirius, who is fixated on girls, reacts to Liliana this way? And then Agnes remembered that Sirius is a ladies' man, accustomed to flirting, but commoners are the exception for him. Liliana did not stop discussing this topic. And then Diana said that she should stop talking about the princess, someone might hear. But Liliana noted offendedly that Lady Renix reacted this way every time she started a conversation. Well, yes, she is a commoner of the people, and others find it unpleasant to be around her, since she has not been trained in the aristocratic manner of speech. And she even cried, which made Hugo immediately ask the deputy commander to apologize to her, and Agnes noted that she should learn the same skill of shaking her shoulders, pretending to cry. But this feeling of alienation and pretense is too strong. Was Saint Liliana really just such a fake character? Next to Raymond, she looked like an angel. Her ability to quietly attract all attention to herself is amazing. Agnes was surprised to find this feature of hers quite attractive. At this moment, the girl was on the verge of choosing her second favorite character. The saint who appears to be an angel is actually a treacherous girl. Why didn't the author reveal such an interesting detail earlier as the appearance of a born actress? Liliana sadly said that they all despised her because she was from a low class, from which Sirius began to get annoyed. And Hugo immediately rushed to defend the poor, unfortunate girl. "What are you discussing?" Another voice was heard, and everyone immediately recognized him. This was the main character of the story, everyone's first love, the embodiment of the word innocence, Hazel Devon. Diana and Sirius were glad to see her and asked how her mission went, to which Hazel replied that she was with the commander. So everything went well. "Where is Sir Raymond Spencer?" asked Saint Liliana with interest. Hazel replied that the commander was at home now. They had just arrived, so she came alone. But Liliana was only interested in gossip, and she asked Lady Devon if she had heard the gossip and what Sir Spencer said about it. Hazel Devon asked confusedly what Saint Liliana was talking about. What a terrible actress, Liliana thought, and replied that these were most likely just rumors. Sir Spencer would not insult anyone. But Hazel replied that it was impossible to know for sure. The commander hated girls who bothered him just like demons. The sarcasm with which these words were uttered and the direct allusion towards the saint hovered between the girls. Agnes seemed to be watching the love triangle from the front row with enthusiasm, and Liliana pretended as if nothing had happened and said that Lady Devon was probably tired and the wind was cold, so she herself wanted to leave, and Hugo immediately volunteered to accompany her. Hugo Rodion in the novel seemed like just a man unrequitedly in love with a saint. But now that Agnes sees everything with her own eyes, she understands that he is no different from otaku like her. The spectacle was interesting, but since everyone is leaving, it's time for the princess to go. She took a couple of steps back, but her foot stepped on a small branch and a subtle sound was heard. This was enough for Sirius Melville's sensitive ears to catch it and the knight to become wary. Without hesitation, he took a fighting stance and pulled his sword out of its sheath and loudly asked who was there. The princess froze in surprise, waiting to see if he had heard it. The next moment, the sharp sword was dangerously close to her neck, and the surprised knight stared straight at her. Looking sideways at the sharp tip of the sword in close proximity to her, Agnes calmly asked if he would put the sword away. Apologizing, Sirius quickly hid his sword, clearly embarrassed by the situation. "You heard everything?" Sirius Melville asked embarrassedly, not daring to look directly at the princess. This could be a problem. Agnes has heard gossip about herself, and it is unknown what will happen next. "Don't tell anyone that I heard everything," the princess said calmly, which greatly surprised the knight. "I don't want to create even more problems," the girl continued sadly without looking at the man. Seeing her detached behavior, Sirius concluded that everything that happened between her and Sir Spencer was true, and the girl with all her appearance said that she was hurt. Her heart was broken. She was all so unhappy. But only now Agnes found out that the rumors were not going in the form she wanted, and people were saying that Raymond said that he would rather marry trash than her, and her place was not in the palace, but in the ditch. Without hesitation, Agnes blurted out that he didn't say that, but then Sirius asked in surprise what exactly Raymond said, to which the girl did not know what to answer, and tried in every possible way to disown it. "That day I don't want to remember," Agnes returned to her sad image, "because Spencer is still the main character and the majority will take his side." In any case, the princess once again asked to keep today's incident a secret and hurried away. Looking after the leaving girl, Sirius Melville only became more convinced that the commander had really treated her badly.
Like this video. Hit the like button and subscribe for more videos.